Today, I am reviewing an action figure based on the Savage Land. Not her. I'm talking about the sold-out, Target-exclusive Hasbro Marvel Legends Savage Land Professor X in his safari suit. Welcome back to the channel and thank you for tuning in to my action figure review of the new Hasbro Marvel Legends Professor X Savage Land, a Target exclusive. I will compare him to past Professor X Marvel Legends figures including the MCU Sir Patrick Stewart Professor X figure, and perform several kitbash. Just quickly showing the paint smudge on Professor X's cheek and his ears. If you have watched my old reviews like Gambit, you will find that sometimes I get these defective looking figures. Returning to the review, just like AOA Gambit, I swiped the smudge with my fingers and they quickly got removed. So I'm thankful it was an easy fix. Professor X has inkjet printed blue eyes and his signature long raised black eyebrow which is sculpted on. Tiny dots of pink inkjet printings can be seen around his eyes and near his nose and cheeks. A sharp nose and very light red lips. This head is an upgrade over the maniac looking head of the Warlord figure. After this review, hope you check out my Professor X Warlord review. Nicely sculpted ears, nothing at the back because he is all bald. Removing his head, he has a double dumbbell neck peg. His torso was a bit tight so I heated up the figure and that resulted to the neck peg being loose every time I remove his head. To remove the neck peg from the head, I used one of those bendy wire from Marvel Select. Some other figures comes with bendy wires, so you can use that. Just twist it around and pull. Now you have the neck peg back of Professor X. Funny looking neck peg though. So let's return it back to the neck. This is the easy part. Push in the neck peg part which is not smooth. There you go. It's back to its place and you can perform a head swap again. He has a neck swivel near his t-shirt, but you can't move it that much unlike Mafex which moves really well. So taking a closer look at his safari uniform, nicely sculpted pockets, a reuse of the Hank Pym body mold from the Amazon 5-pack, this time the buttons are painted black. Here is a painted X logo, it's not sculpted on. From the back, not much of a design, just a straight line in the middle. His belt is not a separate piece, it is sculpted on his crotch. Some sculpted folded lines on his uniform. Thankfully, Hasbro did not paint on the flesh on a green colored plastic. The plastic flesh is a separate piece. When you remove the hands, the wristband part of his gloves is removable, so be careful not to drop it or lose it. It's a good thing that it's not glued on, because just like Rogue, you can use a ungloved hand. Nicely sculpted folds on his safari pants, double jointed pinless knees. The legs are familiar looking, I'll show you later why. He has gray boots. Underneath is the trademark and the product number. He comes with a pair of closed fist hands. Chuck will have to use his fighting skills because his mutant powers were turned off. These hands can hinge forward and back and has some sculpted details. He comes with a pair of weapon holding hands, specifically gun finger triggering hands. I guess without his mutant powers, this type of hands would be useful because it can hold a spear and it can hold a gun. There are sculpted details, especially the folds on his gloves. These hands can hinge up and down. In homage to Memphis Grizzlies' Ja Morant of the NBA, we have a finger banging hand. Since he does not have mutant powers in the Savage Land, I assume this is finger banging hands which can hinge up and down just like a weapon holding hand. So it is indeed a weapon. On a serious note, it is a telepathic gesture hand. It's not a gun. Further proof it's not a gun gesture hand, we have a new Cerebro helmet. This one looks like an upgrade compared to the older ones. You need to widen the opening of the helmet so you can fit in Professor X's head. Later, I will show you which other characters can use the Cerebro helmet. It is all silver plastic, but the nice thing here is they sculpted some details inside the helmet. On the second part of this review, I will perform some kitbash, head swaps, and comparisons. Did you find this review useful? If you do, please give this review a like, subscribe to my channel, and share this with your friends. For places where the figures in this review might still be available, I left some links in the description below. Thank you to Payaso Diorama for the diorama I used in my review. The female body I used for Savage Land Rogue is the Boss Fight Studio Epic Hacks Red Sonja, Part 1 and Part 2 of the review available in my channel. Hope you check it out.
I'm Tigerknight!
Will the gun gesturing fingers beat Red Skull's real gun? Comparing them side by side in terms of their body mold, initially I thought it's the same Red Skull and Dormammu body, but it's not. It's different, especially for the arms. Both are pinless, but the folds on his uniform is different compared to Red Skull. The size and shape of Professor X's torso is different from Red Skull. Since that is the case, expect Dormammu to be different compared to Professor X as well, because Dormammu's parts are mostly from Red Skull, especially the arms and the torso. Notice the gloves of Dormammu is in the same position as the rolled up long sleeves of Professor X, but they're totally different in terms of mold. The arms, the folded details on his arms are different. One thing for sure though is the reused part for both figures are the legs. They're exactly the same in terms of the legs, double jointed pinless knees, and also the place where the boot for the red boots of Dormammu, it's on the same spot as the gray boots of Professor X. The gray boots of Professor X is actually the same as Red Skull's brown one. So the legs of Professor X is the same as Red Skull and Dormammu, and it is also the same for Hank Pym. The evolution of the Cerebro helmet, starting with the most recent one, Emma's little girls, the Stewart Cuckoos. Here is the Cerebro helmet for her. It's different because it's matte silver compared to Professor X, which has a more shiny, bright silver helmet which matches the animated series. From the back, there is also a peg hole for the new Cerebro helmet, or a gear swap using the old Cerebro helmet from the Walgreens exclusive. It fits alright for the new Professor X. It would be difficult for the girls of Emma Frost to wear the new Cerebro helmet because of their hair. This is the only head from the three which you can use the new Cerebro helmet. A gear swap with the 2019 80 Years of Marvel Professor X with hover chair. The Cerebro helmet just fits fine. It's similar to the Walgreens exclusive. It's also matte silver. There's a peg hole on the back. The new Cerebro helmet looks better with the 2019 Professor X in hover chair. On the back, there is a peg hole. Trying on the telepath effect on this one, since it has a peg hole at the back, it won't fit in because the shape of the mold for this effect piece is based on the old Cerebro helmet. The peg won't plug in the hole of the new Cerebro helmet. Just aligning it, it won't really work because the shape of the helmet is totally different. So maybe for another use in future. Because of Marvel Rivals game, this costume of Emma Frost became famous. So here she is using the new Cerebro helmet. It fits well with her head. Compared to the Stewart Cuckoos, The helmet is not raised up, so Emma does not look like the leader, just like one of her girls, which looked like the leader with a big head. Checking out whether the new Target exclusive Savage Land Professor X can ride his hover chair. He fits alright. Because of his fans, it might feel like it's tight, but you can adjust it accordingly and he will just fit just right inside his hover chair, attaching the Cerebro helmet to complete the look. Now, moving on to some head swap with older Professor X Marvel Legends. Per Hasbro's expectation setting, the flesh tone will never match. This is a different flesh color compared to the new Savage Land Professor X. Unfortunately, you cannot use it because it's so obvious because the head is attached to a long exposed neck. Unlike the hover chair Professor X, the neck is not that noticeable, so maybe you can make it work. The color of the hands is noticeably different from the head. Trying out hover chair Professor X hands to give Savage Land Professor X a ungloved hand, it won't work. The hand color is totally different. I'll have to dig in my accessory bin to look for a hand whose color matches Savage Land Professor X. Using the alternate head of the House of X Professor X. As usual, the flesh color won't match, especially with his neck clearly visible. It's unfortunate that you cannot use this head. Maybe from afar it won't be noticeable, but the color is totally different. Swapping the heads of House of X Professor X and Savage Land Professor X. The Savage Land Professor X head on the very thin House of X body does not look alright. He looks like an alien or somebody who lost a lot of weight. Probably the perfect look when he thought that all the mutants died in the Hellfire Gala. Here is the House of X head on the Savage Land Professor X. It's quite small. It really looks small on this body. If you want to change the mood of Savage Land Professor X, you can use the head from the Warlord action figure. Now he's all happy, smiling with his gun finger hands. In the comments below, let me know, Hasbro inkjet printing the head of Professor X, is it a good thing or is it a bad thing? Let me know in the comments below. To find out which Charles does Empress Lilandra likes, let's perform a head swap. Using the Warlord head with the helmet on the Savage Land Professor X, it seems to be alright in terms of size, but it's not the right look. It doesn't make sense for him to wear the Warlord helmet. The Warlord body does need a better head sculpt than the maniac or smiling Professor X head. Here is a more stoic, serious head sculpt on the Warlord body. Taking a closer look, do you think this is better than the original unmasked Warlord head? It's a bit too serious though, so you cannot create a funny scene with Lilandra where Lilandra admires the gym fit body of Professor X, which is totally ripped instead of the thin House of X body. Are the Professor X Kitbash or head swaps useful? In most of my action figure reviews, I perform a head swap or kitbash. Hope you check out those past reviews. For a serious Warlord look, this is the better head sculpt than the original one that came with Warlord. Next up, we have Sir Patrick Stewart, who will appear in the upcoming Avengers Doomsday. This is from the Fox movie 20th Anniversary X-Men 2-pack with Magneto. Doing a head swap, it won't match. The head is just too small for the Savage Land body. The flesh color is different as well. For a blue suit Charles Xavier, this one won't work as well. His head is just too big. As expected, because the Sir Patrick Stewart Head on the Savage Land Professor X body is too small. Trying out the James McAvoy head, it just won't peg in. Probably I need to heat up the head so it can fit in, but there's no point of doing it. It's just strange. It's a very small head. Trying out some Hugh Jackman head swaps, it actually works well with the Hugh Jackman heads. The flesh color would be different as expected. It was a pleasant surprise that Hugh Jackman on a safari suit works okay. This is from the Deadpool Legacy collection. Trying out a more recent Hugh Jackman head from the Deadpool and Wolverine movie, this one looks alright too. Let me know in the comments below, would you do this particular head swap using it for Hugh Jackman? How about including Moira in the Savage Land? This time using the Lady J G.I. Joe classified body. This is what the pair would look like. So this is Professor X reunited with his former lover, Moira X. They look like a Savage Land tourist couple with matching outfits running away from danger. The new Target exclusive Hasbro Marvel Legends Professor X Savage Land stands 16.3 centimeters or 6.4 inches tall. According to the Impulse trading card, Professor X is 6 feet tall, making this figure taller for a 1/12 scale, but Marvel Legends are 6-inch scale figures. Starting the 6-inch scale Hasbro Marvel Legends size comparison, Savage Land Professor X alongside Quasar from the Sabu X-Men wave and the Build-A-Figure Sabu. These figures make an excellent pair if you're looking to recreate iconic moments from the X-Men animated series and comics. Also sharing the same pair of legs are figures from the Supervillains wave, Red Skull, and Dormammu. Next we have the House of X wave, featuring a more slender version of Charles Xavier alongside his lover, Moira X. These characters are major players in the X-Men House of X comics. Jumping back to the 90s X-Men era, here's Professor X as Warlord paired with Lilandra, who comes from the 50th anniversary Wolverine 2-pack. These two are perfect if you're looking to complete the iconic Shi'ar Empire storyline. For those who love MCU figures, from the movie Spider-Man No Way Home, we have Spider-Man next to the deluxe Jamie Foxx Electro, which I reviewed recently. Be sure to check it out if you haven't already. From the Nemesis Build-A-Figure wave, Extreme X-Men Wolverine and his son, Daken, the Dark Avengers Wolverine. Other figures from the X-Men Nemesis Build-A-Figure wave, which I recently reviewed. Uncanny X-Force Nightcrawler and Gambit, both which hail from the Age of Apocalypse. Want to know why Nightcrawler is tied to the Age of Apocalypse storyline? Watch my review for all details. And on the right, we got Marvel vs. Capcom Marrow and Generation X Husk. Since Professor X Savage Land action figure is inspired by the X-Men animated series, here he is next to X-Men 97 figures, including a short male Marvel Legends Wolverine, a regular sized male X-Men 97 Cyclops, Jean Grey, and Rogue. These figures bring back the nostalgic animated series vibe. If you are a Spider-Man collector, here's a great comparison. The smaller Secret Wars Spider-Man action figure and the regular size Spider-Man from the Renew Your Vows 2-pack. War of the Marvels, celebrating 85 years of Marvel, Warbird, and Moonstone as Dark Avengers Miss Marvel. Some Marvel rivals buzzworthy characters, Magic, who has been trending recently, and I'm hoping for an update to her body mold to reflect her adult version. Emma Frost in her black costume is another figure that could use an upgrade soon. 6-inch scale Darna, Philippines version of Wonder Woman by Halimaw Sculptures and Loose Collector. 1/12 scale Tamashi Tokyo Store exclusive SH Figuarts Chainsaw Man. 6-inch scale Ladies by Executive Replicas and Loose Collector. From Crusade Comics, She, and from Coffin Comics, La Muerta. 1/12 scale size comparison, the Medicom toy Mafex Wolverine in his iconic brown costume alongside Cyclops, the leader of the X-Men Blue Team. The Medicom toy Mafex Jean Grey as Phoenix is one of the best non-Marvel Legends figures for 2024, and her frenemy, Psylocke. Boss Fight Studio Epic Hacks Red Sonja in a Savage Land outfit, and the Medicom toy Mafex Magneto. 6-inch scale Cheetah Toys Street Fighter action figures, Cammy White, and the SDCC exclusive Chun-Li Pink version. Fighters from America, Ken Masters and Guile. For a 6-inch scale versus 7-inch scale size comparison, let's take a look at Marvel Legends Rogue from the Juggernaut Build-A-Figure Wave versus the Diamond Select Marvel Select Rogue. Marvel Legends Sabretooth from the 50th Anniversary Wolverine 2-pack versus the 7-inch scale Diamond Select Toys Marvel Select Sabretooth. For Hulk fans, we got a comparison between Hasbro Marvel Legends Hulk from the 80th Anniversary of Marvel and the Diamond Select Toys Marvel Select Immortal Hulk or Rampaging Hulk. For packaging, Professor X Savage Land comes in the Uncanny X-Men retro cardback packaging, which showcases the figure and accessories. The corner box includes Wolverine, Rogue, Professor X, Storm, and Gambit. Most have retro wave figures except Storm in that hairstyle. Art by David Nakayama. Yellow Impact speech bubble says Sapari suit. On the back is a retro art and a short read-up in 5 languages. Pause it right now if you want to have a read. 2 product renders of the figure, some warning, legalities, and trademarks, consumer information, and barcode. For articulation with a double dumbbell neck peg, he can move his head from side to side, can tilt on each side as well. He can look up that much, look down that far, arms can extend that far. He does not have a butterfly swivel. He can do a full 360 right here. He has a bicep swivel. He has double jointed pinless elbows. His wrist can swivel and hinge forward and back. With an ab crunch system, he can crunch forward not really much. Same is true for crunching backward, it's not that much. It really limits his movement. He has a waist swivel. He can do a split. He has a upper thigh swivel right here. He has double jointed pinless knees, can kick his butt, can kick forward that much. He has a hidden lower calf swivel on the boot. His feet can hinge forward and back, and he has an ankle rocker. My final thoughts on the Hasbro Marvel Legends Professor X Savage Land, a Target exclusive. The new head sculpt, Cerebro helmet, and accessories are definitely the highlight of this Professor X figure. It's a pleasant surprise as Target exclusive figures typically features repaints or reuses. This is a standout because of the vibrant colors despite of being a reused body mold from the Hank Pym action figure Amazon exclusive West Coast Avengers 5-pack. However, I would have loved to see a telepathic effect included like we see in David Nakayama's art. Would I recommend this figure? If you're a fan of the X-Men animated series or X-Men 97, this figure is a must-have for your collection. I hope you subscribe to my channel because I have several new Hasbro Marvel Legends action figures, which includes the Red Hulk. I strive to create high-quality reviews, so it may take some time. But despite of the wait, I hope to see you on the next one. Thank you for watching and be safe.